It's a deep dish showdown.
You have never seen a food war like this before. Chicago is on fire again!
Between the two biggest names in Chicago-style deep dish. Pizzeria Uno, the deep dish birthplace.
We've been doing it longer, better, more than anybody else in history. We're the first, we're the best.
And Lou Malnati's, the former Uno employee turned first family of deep dish.
Malnati's is the only name in Chicago deep dish. I challenge anyone to try to do what we do.
It's a battle between legends over who serves the city's most delicious deep dish.
Lou Malnati's and Pizzeria Uno are putting their pies to the ultimate test.
Even a dead guy'd be able to tell the difference.
For the life of me, I don't understand why he's showing up. Pizzeria Uno has this food war.
Today, two experts and I will decide which deep dish dynasty is the Windy City's best. And it's not gonna be easy. Every town has a signature dish.
Cheesesteak is Philadelphia. They want to see the Liberty Bell, and then they want to go get a cheesesteak.
And there's always two joints serving it, both battling for the title of best in town. I'm Camille Ford.
It smells good.
And I love my job.
We're gonna trim the fat off the beef.
Because I'm shipping out cross-country to put myself in the middle of these culinary crossfires.
I don't want any eggs on the floor. Come on, come on.
Mobilizing rival restaurants and their die-hard fans to put reputations on the firing line.
This is the dish that will win the competition.
You think?
I know so.
In the ultimate taste test. Two will enter, but only one will win.
Let the food wars begin!
This is Food Wars. There are thousands of deep dish pizzerias in greater Chicagoland. But two downtown deep dish meccas tower over all the others. Pizzeria Uno on the corner of Wabash and East Ohio, and its arch rival, Lou Malnati's on North Wells. For nearly 40 years, these two deep dish legends have been locked in the city's fiercest food war yet.
Pizza Uno is a landmark. When you think Chicago, you think deep dish, you think the one, Pizza Uno.
If you want deep dish, you need to come to Lou's.
We had to come to Pizzeria Uno to have the real Chicago experience. It was awesome.
Every time you come to Chicago, you come to Lou Malnati's. That's Chicago deep dish pizza. That's all it is. They equal each other. It's great.
This war between pizza powerhouses dates back to 1943, when Pizzeria Uno served the nation's first deep dish pizza.
Pizzeria Uno has really put Chicago on the map as the birthplace of special deep dish pizza. You can take the origins not only to Chicago, but right to this very spot.
And for more than 20 years, Lou Malnati and his father, Rudy Malnati, worked diligently in the Uno kitchen. Now, everyone agrees that Pizzeria Uno served the first deep dish, but many believe it was the Malnatis who perfected the recipe while working there.
The Malnatis were the voice of the pizzeria. So whenever there was an interview about deep dish pizza in the 1950s and 60s, the Malnatis were the spokespeople.
But in 1971, Lou left Pizzeria Uno to open up his own deep dish joint, Lou Malnati's Pizzeria, and the two restaurants became instant rivals. Today, they're putting their legacies on the line to prove once and for all who does deep dish best.
Their sign says 1970-something. My sign says 1943. Literally, we just have been making pizza longer, better, and it will always continue that way.
The Malnati name is synonymous with deep dish. You can taste the love that goes into every bite.
Today, I'm teaming up with two of the country's top pizza experts, a local food critic and a master pizza instructor, for a decisive taste test of Chi-Town's most revered dish. Together, we'll taste both deep dish dynasties and decide who serves the Windy City's best. But first, I'm checking out the competition, starting with Pizzeria Uno. Today, you can find hundreds of Uno pizzerias around the world. But for a true taste of Chicago, you have to visit the original on Wabash and East Ohio, where they sell over 5,000 deep dish pies each week.
Are you guys from Chicago?
No, not at all.
Where are you from?
Tennessee.
So this was your first Uno experience?
Very first, yeah.
And that first bite, what happened?
I went to heaven right then, yes.
You dropped into deep dish heaven?
I did.
Oh, you guys got a fresh pie. Where are you guys from?
Thailand. My friend told me that if I go to Chicago, we have to eat the pizza, and Uno, the birthplace, we have to go.
This landmark building only holds about 70 people, and it's been packed to the gills since they first started serving their iconic signature dish. Guarding the front gates of this legendary location is General Manager April McRaven. For nearly a decade, April has devoted her life's work to the original Pizzeria Uno, preserving their deep dish legacy.
The ingredients that we use are really, really very true to deep dish pizza, and we've really stayed with that. And just the time that we've had to really work with them and the longevity of the people who make the food here really sets us apart. Back in 1943, Ike Sewell opened this place. Ike had a recipe for a dough, an Italian-style dough, and him being from Texas, he was like, I want to do a pizza, but, you know, this little pizza isn't going to cut it. I need a meal. So he did it up Texas style, everything bigger, so he made a deep dish pizza.
Ike Sewell revolutionized the pizza world by transforming what had been mainly a snack food into a hearty meal. And Pizzeria Uno Chicago-style deep dish became an instant hit. But the Malnatis maintain that they developed the deep dish craft while working within Pizzeria Uno's walls. Now, I know there's some conflicting facts about Lou Malnati, who also takes credit for inventing the deep dish. Even though he did it here, he believes he was the one that created the recipe.
Well, that's just not true. And although he did manage for us for a long time, we invented the deep dish pizza. Ike Sewell invented the deep dish pizza right here.
And there's a food war happening.
There is a food war happening, and we're ready for it.
I'm heading behind the scenes to see how Pizzeria Uno prepares for battle. And April is giving me my own pan. We're going to make their #1 bestseller, the Pizzeria Uno pizza. So for a traditional deep dish pizza, you want a thin crust on the bottom. It's not necessarily how thick the crust is.
No, it's how deep the dish is.
But this deep dish is going to be filled to the brim, starting with 13 slices of mozzarella. What is it about sliced mozzarella that's going to change the pizza?
It shields the crust from all the grease and yumminess of that sausage. It also is going to create those wonderful layers that you're going to see when we cut this thing open after we cook it.
The cheese is topped with a layer of pork sausage.
You can see the fennel seeds and the pepper in there.
It's amazing. I can actually smell the fennel and the pepper. Next comes a layer of pepperoni, and then Uno's signature chunky sauce. But when it comes to cooking their world-famous pies, the Pizzeria Uno oven is key, and it's a 2-step process.
So this is where we're going to start for 25 minutes. When they're done here, we're going to put the veggies on, put them in there.
This ensures the toppings will be fully cooked without burning the perfectly crisped crust. With nearly 70 years of deep dish experience, Pizzeria Uno is a food wars force to be reckoned with.
That's good.
Coming up, we meet the Malnati man desperate to take down the champ as he fights for his family's legacy.
We're the first family of pizza. We're the only family of pizza.
And later, Chicago goes wild for this city's most vicious deep dish showdown. Chicago is the birthplace of the deep dish pizza and home to 2 warring restaurants. Pizzeria Uno, the first restaurant to serve deep dish, and Lou Malnati's, opened by a former Uno worker who was ready to set out on his own. For nearly 4 decades, these deep dish giants have been battling it out for a spot at the top of Chicago's food chain.
Malnati's tastes like cardboard. Pizzeria Uno is the best.
When someone stops me on the street and asks me where to go, Lou Malnati's every time.
Now, I've already sampled a deep dish with everything over at Pizzeria Uno, but I've saved room for Lou Malnati's, and from the looks of the crowds here, I've got a lot of company. Do you remember the first time you had Chicago deep dish?
I do. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old, and all I remember saying was cheese, cheese, more cheese. It was fantastic. I've been going to Lou's ever since. There's no other deep dish in the city that compares.
When you take a bite of deep dish, what's the first flavor that hits your mouth?
Definitely the sauce.
What is it about it that's so good?
Oh, it's tangy, but not overwhelming. It's not super acidic. It gives it a good balance, and it allows you to really enjoy the crust along with it.
After After spending 2 decades working for Ike Sewell at Pizzeria Uno, Lou Malnati opened his namesake restaurant in 1971. Today, Lou's son, Mark Malnati, is a third-generation deep dish pizza master. He's been running the restaurant and making the Malnati name proud for nearly 4 decades.
My dad started with my grandfather down at Pizzeria Uno, and he worked there for 22 years. He approached Sewell at one point and said, you know, how are we going to do this, you know, when you guys pass on? And Sewell said, Lou, we don't have an agreement on paper. He was kind of heartbroken. I mean, he had built this business up working 6 days a week till 4 in the morning. And he was the, you know, the energy, the heart behind it. You know, I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to end up with this. And so after a couple months of just kind of doing some soul searching, he said, you know, I'm going to leave.
The first Lou Malnati's opened in Lincolnwood, Illinois, about 12 miles north of Chicago. Since then, they've become a regional powerhouse with 31 restaurants. But it's still a family-run business with a deep connection to the creation of Chicago-style deep dish.
When I walk into Uno, you know, I still feel the presence of my family, of my forefathers. We're the first family of pizza. We're the only family of pizza.
And Mark maintains the Malnati legacy right here in their world-famous kitchen. Like every other pizzeria in Chicago, sausage is boss. It's the city's most popular topping, and Lou Malnati serves up thousands of their legendary deep dish sausage pies each week. But unlike Pizzeria Uno, Malnati starts their pies with a secret food war weapon, their signature butter crust. It's a special dough recipe that features pure butter blended directly into the dough.
We start with this beautiful dough. Pull a little piece of this off for you.
Yeah? Raw dough?
If you were making cookies at home, you'd be eating the dough nonstop.
I didn't realize
Same thing here in the kitchen.
Who taught you
Back
to do
in the
this?
hills. This was actually my dad. My dad loved the kitchen, loved spending time back here, and was a real perfectionist. He was all about the pizza. I made a career trying to do the same thing.
Malnati's signature dough is layered with pure mozzarella cheese and topped with its world-famous sausage.
This sausage is 90% lean. I mean, it's got enough fat to give it a little bit of flavor.
No fennel?
Fennel. No.
Pizzeria Uno uses fennel.
No, they don't.
Good.
Like if you look, you can see the fennel seeds and the pepper in there.
Wow, I can really smell the fennel.
Fennel is what you use to cover up the flavor in bad sausage. You want the flavor of the meat coming through. A little bit of seasoning, but fennel, no.
I don't want to keep you up on
They know better. Our recipe came from their recipe. You know, that place is still the Mecca. That's where it all started, but somewhere along the line, they just got off track.
Malnati spreads their sausage instead of tightly packing it in, allowing their gooey cheese to bubble through every layer.
I'm not going to even mention names, but there's other pretenders that want to pile it on.
Then comes Malnati's special tomato sauce.
Within 6 hours of the time these tomatoes are pulled off the vine, they are peeled and sealed inside our can of Malnati's California vine-ripened tomatoes.
With a dash of Parmesan Romano and a hint of oregano, this pie is primed for the oven.
Ah, look at that.
Wow.
Woo! You want to look here? Let's pick up the sides and let's look underneath the hood.
Whoa!
You see how golden brown this is?
Can you see that?
You
Look,
see this?
look.
And it's cooked all the way through. Perfect color. Nice, beautiful. Oh, that's a good bite. That's a good bite right there.
Coming up, there's food and family on the line as these pizza giants face off in our ultimate food war showdown.
They're both superstars, and they have one shot.
In Chicago, Illinois, a 40-year food battle is blazing between Pizzeria Uno, the undisputed birthplace of the deep dish, and Lou Malnati's, opened by a former Uno employee who went on to crown himself the first family of Chicago pizza. And today, loyal deep dish fans from across the state are here to witness this historical Chicago showdown.
We love Lou Malnati's! Pizzeria Uno's #1. It is now, it will be tomorrow and forever.
I'm joined by two of the foremost experts in deep dish pizza. We each get one vote, and the winner will be crowned best deep dish in the Windy City. We have Bill Daly. He's a very well-known food and wine critic that he works for the Chicago Tribune. And to my right, I have Tony Gimiani, master chef and the master instructor at the International School of Pizza. All right, Bill, what are you looking for when you're taking those initial bites of a deep dish pizza?
Crust. Basically talking about something like a giant lasagna wrapped in a collar of dough. And that dough had better be perfect. It better be buttery and fragrant. It has to have texture. And it's not a dainty thing. And I think if you come at it from another part of the country, you can't treat it like pizza. I mean, in some ways, it's the anti-pizza. The cheese is on the bottom. The sauce is on the top. Different rules here.
Now, anything with a flavor that you're really hoping is going to jump out at you?
Well, sausage. I mean, you think of Chicago, you think of sausage, and that's very important. Balance is very important, too. Even though you have a pizza like this, it still needs to have some structure and balance to it. They're both superstars. I mean, we know that. And they have one shot.
First up, Pizzeria Uno. Because both pizza joints have such distinct pizzas, we're having them make us the classic, the deep dish sausage.
Well, it looks fantastic.
Thank you so much. It was so good to meet you today.
There's some very clean, fresh flavors, and it's very, I don't want to say simple, but it's there.
Simplicity can be awesome. I mean, that's what it's all about. Italian, when you think of pizza, you know, fortunately in the U.S., we've made pizza very, very complicated. This is not a complicated pizza. It's just great ingredients and simple.
Bring out Lou Malnati's.
Unbelievable. Here we go, judges. Go for the crust.
Different. Are you smelling the crust? Are you getting that initial crunch that you were looking for?
Yeah, this pizza, it baked a little better.
Larger chunks of tomato, too.
The texture of the sausage is different.
And there's almost a sense of more seasoning in that dough.
Mark, were you happy with your crust?
I thought it looked fantastic. And I like the crunch. I don't want the product to feel or look bready.
Mark, thank you very much. You are dismissed. Coming up, pressure mounts as the judges struggle to make their final decision.
It really sucks to have to pick a winner. It's really tough.
And finally, this 40-year food war will crown its champion. After 4 decades of fighting, it's time to end Chicago's epic deep dish rivalry between Pizzeria Uno and Lou Malnati's. I'm with 2 of the world's foremost pizza experts. We've tasted both pies, written down our vote, and we're ready to declare the city's most delicious deep dish. Let's bring out Mark and April. Bill, why don't you tell April and Mark what you liked about their pizzas before you reveal your answer?
Well, I think you folks know that your pizzas are culinary legends. They're institutions in this city. And living here, I'm very proud that you folks are here. I thought Malnati's had the bigger pieces of tomato. And a couple times I almost felt like I was getting like a quarter of a tomato, but it's still a tomato. And the Persian looked good, and it had a little bit of a saltiness to it, and it made the pizza look texturally interesting.
Bill, who did you vote for?
Lou Malnati's.
April, how are you feeling right now?
Down 1, got 2 to go. See how it goes.
Down 1, got 2 to go. That's exactly right. There's 1 vote for Lou Malnati's. To either end this food war or to even it up. Tony, what'd you think about the pizzas?
Both pizzas were fantastic. Like you guys are institutions of Chicago, both of you, so nobody can ever take that away from you. When it came down to it, I really had to break it down to find out what was good. And your sausages were both fantastic. Both your doughs were fantastic. Your sauces were a little different, but great. You guys both did great. And it really sucks to have to pick a winner. It's really tough. So my winner of Food Wars is Lou Malnati.
And it was a clean sweep. I voted for Lou Malnati's as well.
I know my dad would be very proud. You know, I think he carried the tradition for a long, long time. Of course, I want people to come to Lou Malnati's, but Uno will always be the Mecca. Uno will always be the first. So you need to go and pay homage at Uno.
We didn't win today, but we win a lot of people's hearts over every day. So, we go back and do it again tomorrow.
You still make a delicious deep dish. Congratulations.
Even a dead guy'd be able to tell the difference.